Peace be unto you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We begin in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. My name is Abdullah Muslim, and I'm the host of Islam Works. Our mission, our goal, is to offset the lies that are told about Islam that spreads weak ideas and leads to wrong understanding. We intend, inshallah, to offset and to expose the things that cause humanity to continually go astray. Last week we had our brother Safwan al-Hadi, and we were talking about an important aspect of misguidance for humanity, commonly referred to as magic. Black magic, white magic, Satanism, all these things that cause human beings to have ideas that cause them to do all types of horrific things. You know, if you think about us in the human family, and you think about the things we've done, this program, well, for instance, recently, in the last, say, 20 years or so, to me that's recent, there was a case wherein some people who were involved in a type of witchcraft or a type of Satanism, and the two are not exactly the same, there is a difference, advertised on the internet for someone to volunteer to be eaten, cannibalized, to be killed and eaten. Yes, this is true. They were in Germany. And they got a volunteer. They got a volunteer. And they proceeded to cut this man up on the internet and eat his flesh. Yuck. What would cause a human being to do something like that? You have other people who are into, and of course they got captured, they were caught. But you want to hear something strange? There was no law in Europe to persecute them because he volunteered for it. Then they found an obscure law under which they could be punished. And I stopped following it after that. It just shows the depths that we can sink to as human beings, how low we can go. Or we can go to the heights. We can go and we can alleviate suffering and pain and wrongdoing. And that's what we should aspire to. Islam works to encourage the human being to aspire to the best. And that's what we're trying to encourage people to do, and this is why we say Islam works. It works for the good. So, Brother Safwan, if we can continue from what we were discussing last week. And we were talking about some aspects of witchcraft. All right, we were speaking about some the things that people who were involved in it were doing. We were talking about places in New York, because that's where we come from, all right, where these practices are
commonplace.
Pardon? Commonplace, yes. So you want to pick up from the thread where we left off last week.
So we were speaking about just some of the places where you'll find their communities in the city, one or two places, or just that one place in the village you'll find them. They even named, you know, the village was an actual village, It was named after the Green Witch, but it's pronounced Greenwich.
Greenwich.
We mentioned that there's Father Demo Square there, Father
Okay.
Demon Square. I even learned, speaking of demo, that the word democracy is a compound word. Demo meaning demon,
Okay.
short for demon, crassy,
Yeah,
crossy,
you mentioned that in one of the first episodes
Yeah.
that we had, we were involved in.
the way of life. So
Yeah.
if you say way of life of the demons, if that's what these people are trying to push,
Now these are Greek words. The two. You said it's a compound.
crossy.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a Greek word. The two words combined.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And nowadays, as we know, when a person is possessed, one of the things that they want to be is naked, without clothing. So now we see a lot of people trying to take their clothes off.
Okay.
As a matter of fact,
which is actually going backwards.
yes, well, it's encouraged. Yes, it's going backwards in terms of what we've learned about the conquerors and their so-called civilizing, humanity in certain places. They're
Okay.
going backwards in terms of, but we know that in Islam, Allah commands the humans to cover themselves.
Right.
Right?
Not just in Islam, but in
The reason why I say
in Judaism, in Christianity, okay, women are encouraged. I can't speak
Yes.
about Buddhism and
Right.
Hinduism and
Right.
Confucianism and the others, but even though I know that there are elements of encouraging human dignity,
Right.
all right, especially in Buddhism and in Confucianism. Right? As far as Hinduism, I'm not saying it does not encourage the display or the mindset of making yourself a better human being. But there's so much from what I've read that keeps you embedded in ideas that lead to paganism of sorts, all right? And whatever you do within that framework is okay,
Right.
all right? If you, in fact, I know that being here, I met a Hindu who told me he had been to Mecca, okay? That's what he told me,
Right.
okay? And he said that because that's one of the places where whatever God, because they have so many different gods. I didn't understand everything he was telling me. I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't know if I should, I didn't know what to do,
Right.
But that's what he told me. I've been to Mecca,
And so many others have as
Yeah.
well, of different, denominations.
Right.
It just takes a look and a name, if you will, if you want to get into Mecca. However, these people are bent on world domination, whoever they are. Their specialty is sleight of hand. They're the opposite of the people of the truth. They highly encourage that which Allah discourages and commands against.
Are they obvious? You said they're opposite of those people who believe in the truth. Are they?
Yes.
Are they? Is their behavior obvious?
You can't see them.
Is their
as
goal?
much.
Are their goals obvious?
Not. No, because the people of the truth are apparent and you can see
And
them.
open.
They're open. As to where these type of people are, they've named themselves the people of shadow. They even say they have a shadow government. And they sit in the shadow. Allah tells us and informs us about the jinn. They watch you from places that you cannot see them, but they can see you. These people worship jinns.
Now, you've just given us, from what I can understand, two premises. Because we believe that the jinn, from what we've read in Quran, are actually another creation.
Right.
We believe that there's the angels, who are created from light.
Right.
They're the jinn, that are created from fire, free of smoke. And then there's us, the children of Adam, created from clay. And from what I understand, that these jinn actually exist on another dimension. Yeah, they can see us without them seeing us, without us seeing them, and they don't need microphones or cameras, CCTV, or any of these other things. They are actually right where we are, observing us. This is my understanding.
Living amongst us.
Okay, and
They
then at the
live
same
here on
time, we
Earth.
have human beings who are watching what we do, but we need CCTV. We need hidden microphones. We need these various types of apparatuses or mechanical devices to help us in what we do. Right? That is, those of us who spy on others. Now, in that light, one of the things that our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said is that he said that if he knew that someone was looking at him through a crack in the wall of his house, he would take a knife and stick it into that crack, okay? Indicating that he would try to stick it into the eye of the person who was watching him, talking about other human beings, okay? So I just wanted to try to bring things into maybe alignment as to showing that there are some human beings who are, as you were saying earlier, participating with the jinn, but at the same time doing it on a human level. Okay?
Right.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I don't want to take you off your thought.
I mean, they've picked up this behavior. They haven't picked it up from prophets and messengers and the people of truth. So they've communicated a long time ago with these beings made from smokeless fire. Somehow was convinced that they're going to rule the world. Some of them they have organizations in which they freely practice their magics.
Okay.
Some of their organizations are very strong. They use the religiosity of the masses.
That's one of the things that Iblis told Allah he would do. He said, I lay for them on your straight way.
Well,
okay. The straight way being Siratal Mustaqim. Guide us astray.
They gather information from the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran. They have big organizations in which they even call themselves, try to separate themselves as secret organizations from the rest of the people of the world. So much so that they have, they set in their clubs and in their, when I say clubs, like organizations, they set their times like an hour ahead of everybody else, so as to be ahead and live ahead of everybody else, to plan.
You mean their physical, you mean the clock says we have devised time. Is that what you're talking about?
Right, yes.
It's interesting. I never heard that.
They set their clocks an hour ahead of everybody. And this is on some of their websites. They tell you this. All so that they can rule the world at the end of the day with their evil. Somehow, some way, they've become victims, and some of them are masters. So much of this, and so evil that they have made jinns victims. Nonetheless, they strongly believe that they're going to rule the world forever. And, they, at one point, there will come a time when they will inherit the earth. However, Allah warns us.
But only for a brief period of time, though.
It's going to come, but compared to an eternity, it's almost like a blinking of an eye. It'll be like a blinking of an eye. When that time comes and goes farther and farther into the past, one day it'll be as if it never happened. Because of an eternity continues to move forward. Islam is the guidance that will help us to be protected from these individuals.
And this is what you had mentioned, all right, because you said that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had been influenced by magic, and the two surahs, Falaq and Nas, were revealed for the purpose of showing him how to offset or neutralize that magic that was being worked against him, which also those people who practice Islam can use.
Well, he was afflicted.
Okay, but there was a dream involved with that as well.
I don't know if it was a dream, but
Okay.
when this witch cast a spell on him, she spat lightly to cast the spell. She tied the knots into a rope.
And 7
on the
locks
rope,
of his hair.
right? And she tied the knots on the rope. And she did the spell, nafatha, nafatha. She spat like that, very lightly on the knots and threw it down a well, causing him to not be able to remember the Quran, his
Right.
recitation of the Quran.
Or which prayer he had made.
And so
But
to break the spell, Allah revealed to him Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas.
Okay.
And he asked one of the Sahaba to go and get that rope and recite
there was a mirror involved too, wasn't it? A mirror in one of his combs.
I'm not sure. I'm not
Okay.
sure. I
Right.
know the
Because I read the hadith. That's the reason I'm asking. And I remember, as I recall it, he was sleeping, and he knew something was wrong. He didn't know what it was. And 2 malaika, angels, came and sat at the foot of the bed. And one of them said, "What is wrong with Muhammad?" And the other one said, "So and so," gave the name of the person who had worked the spell on him, has worked the spell on him. And the other one said, "Well, how can he offset it?" And then they told him what to do. And he sent one of his Sahaba, and they went and there was not a pond, but water,
a well.
a well, and they emptied the well out, and sure enough, they found everything that he said would be there. And this is how they were able to, and even as it says that as they untied each of the knots, they could see he was changing. He felt a change until it was
They
finally
relieved him.
completed. But I've heard one brother say that apparently that these 2 surahs, 2 chapters, they're short chapters. Surah Falak, Kul al-Dabara Falak, Min Shari Maikalak, Min Shari Glasikani, the Wakab, Min Shari Nafathat Falakad, Min Shari Hasadani, the Hasad. And the other one was Kul al-Dabara Nas, Maliki Nas, Ilahi Nas, Min Shari Waswasu Kanas. Alladhi waswasu fi suduri nas min al-jinnati wan nas. These are the 2 that were revealed. Okay, maybe another time I'll read it in English. Our time is getting short. So at any rate, and I'll explain what was in them. In light of what we're talking about now. So go from there, brother, please.
All right, so these particular 2 surahs, these chapters from the Quran, will help to, like you said, save you or protect you. It's not the surahs themselves, but the recitation, and it's Allah who will protect you.
If you have the iman, if you have faith, if you really believe it, you're not just reciting it as an incantation or as a chant, but you're reciting it believing in Allah.
Right.
This is important.
Right.
Yeah.
And
because a non-believer, it won't work.
It's definitely for the believer. It's definitely for the Muslim, I should say. The only thing that will work for the non-Muslim is that he becomes a Muslim. Then Allah will forgive him or her for all of the sins that they committed before they became a Muslim.
What's interesting about that? We've got about, our time is short. But what's interesting about that is even if you're a criminal, a dope dealer, a drug dealer, and you earn billions of dollars selling these drugs, and you become a Muslim, all that money becomes lawful. But if you go back to doing that after accepting Islam, the money you earn thereafter is haram, it's unlawful, and it'll be against your best interest. It just shows how Islam is designed to be merciful and helpful to the human being in trying to step out of the traps that have been set by Satan and those human beings who follow Satan. Okay? Because there are a lot of us who, I say us, human beings, not us as Muslims, but us as human beings, who fall into thinking that the temporary advantages they gain in this world from some misconcept that Satan has given them is some way or another going to help them to live forever. Okay? Allah says in Quran, if they lived 1,000 years, they're still going to face me. Paraphrasing. Look, Islam works. Inshallah, we'll be doing another episode. Maybe we'll be doing a lot more episodes. Because what we're trying to do is show how a lot of these things are influencing the contemporary world. And a lot of these things have people doing things that have absolutely no value except to send them into hell. You want to avoid hellfire? You want to avoid a bad place in the life to come, the eternal life? Let Islam work for you. Read, go and buy a Quran, if you have it in your heart to do so. A tafsir Quran, a translation. And have it in your heart to, to look into it and see if there's any guidance for you. You'll be guided. I've known so many people who have been. You know why? Because Islam works.